shy away from wearing. I do it on occasion, but like you have the Costa hat on right now.
Yes.
Did you buy that hat?
Mm-hmm. I think, or maybe one of my kids got it for me for a gift.
So I just shy away from where typically I'll accept the idea of wearing a product if I get it as a free topper to something I purchased. Like if they give me a hat when I purchase, I don't know why this is. If they give me a hat when I purchase sunglasses, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like the idea of advertising your product on something that I bought from you. Why aren't you paying me to advertise it?
Facts. NIL.
Right?
Yep.
So I knew a guy back in high school that would like scratch that crap off. Like if he
Really?
bought something and there was some sort of branding on it, like he would take that members only right off that jacket.
So the difference for me on something like this is I actually really like the hat.
Mhm.
And so if you put your brand on the hat that I really like, I'm fine with that because I'm buying the hat. I'm buying your hat. So I'm okay with that.
Okay. Well, that's good. Hello, friends, and welcome. You know, you didn't pay a single thing for this episode of All the Best Words, or at least I hope you didn't. If you did, contact Cameron and I.
Please.
We'd like to kind of know how that went. But you can find us on a variety of different platforms. All of the platforms should be on 997WTN.com, and you just click on that link. You know, there's Apple, there's all sorts of other different podcast platforms. YouTube is a popular one. Just like and subscribe if you're over there. He says a word.
He says a word too.
And then we talk about those words. But before we do those things, you know what we do? The intro. That's it.
I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
Did you go through the Coca-Cola thing?
What do you mean?
Coca-Cola
Like
clothing and apparel? Was it before your time?
You mean like the point stuff?
Yeah, where everybody wanted to wear Coca-Cola gear. Like
Yeah.
the Coca-Cola shirts and
Well, you're in Georgia. That was more of a...
maybe, I don't know. But, man, it was hot for a minute, and I pushed away from it. Anytime that if there's people saying you got to do something, I'm out automatically.
I could vouch for you on that. I mean, pretty much every time. Here's a thing you must.
No.
Not Matt.
Now, seersucker. Seersucker's where it's at.
I don't know if you know this, but people aren't telling you to do that anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so I think you should go first in this edition of All the Best Words.
So
What do you got?
I'm wearing my word. Camp.
That's good.
My youngest went to a camp in Kentucky called Barefoot Republic, and it reminded me of how much I loved summer camps. Like as a kid, that's what I did. Like in the summer, I was mowing lawns, and then camp would happen, and then I did football workouts. But summer camp was huge, man. It was so much fun to go and just hang out. I did one called Salt and Light. It was like a church camp type thing. And it just helped me realize that some of those summer camps were like some of the best formative experiences of my life, because my parents were like, you should go to this summer camp because you'll learn more about Jesus. And I was like, there's a bunch of cute girls there. And so it worked out, dovetailed nicely. And it was some of the first times I remember independence. I remember, hey, I'm here. My brothers and sister aren't here. My parents aren't here. Hey, now what, right? I'm an independent entity. I can...
In an unfamiliar place.
Yes, and I'm overnight, multiple nights, trying to figure out what's going on, putting shaving cream in people's hands and tickling them, like all kinds of mischief, but
Putting
really,
their hands in water, making them pee themselves.
those are all things, and it really helped me kind of understand, hey, I'm growing up. This is different. And for my kids to start to do some of those things, get to know kids that they keep up with who aren't just either in the house or in the community, but they're friends who live a couple hours away. That it's an expansion of your world. And so my words camp, man.
Are you doing this to trigger me on purpose?
I'm trying to trigger you always.
I never went to camp.
What?
Nope. Never.
I'm sad, Matt.
Never. No, I went to work.
What'd you do?
I worked
Well, what was the work?
with my grandpa.
What'd y'all do?
he was a self-employed mechanic, and I went to work with him handing him wrenches. Actually, how that happened was I asked my grandmother if she would buy me Levi's jeans when I was 11 years old. It was during the summer, and we were getting fairly close to school. We started talking about back-to-school clothing, and I hated Husky jeans. Husky jeans were sold in Kmart,
Yeah.
and I hated them with a passion because I got picked on about them. And I wanted some Levi's blue jeans. And my grandmother told my grandfather that I wanted Levi's. I didn't want Huskies anymore. And my grandfather's response was to wake me up at 6 o'clock the next morning and said, "You want to pick out your own clothes? You get to work for it." And so I started going to work for him. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I value that, and I wouldn't take anything from it. But I never went to summer camp. So it's funny. Summer camp was. I know this isn't true, but I'm going to say it anyway. I mean, I thought rich kids went to camp.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my perception that kids that got to go to camp were somehow on a different level than I. So I missed out on that experience. I mean, I had similar experiences. Eventually you'd go to debate camp. That's always fun.
Oh,
not a
wow.
lot. Trust me when I tell you, not a lot of chicks at debate camp.
Well, and one of the things about this camp that my youngest is going to is a lot of the kids are scholarshiped. Like to your point about, well, camp is a thing for rich kids. This camp is decidedly not. This camp is designed to have a cross section. We talk about all this DEI stuff, and it's the wrong way, right? It is all these adults talking about quotas and things like that. This camp at Barefoot, what they do is they intentionally put kids from different backgrounds together and say, get to know each other, become friends. Build the relationships so that people you might not encounter who aren't in your social circles, who don't live in your community, well, these are your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like you learn about this. I mean, it has been awesome. My oldest son who went to Barefoot had some friends that had a very different background that he had no idea. He's like, Dad, like the food that they have, the way that they do it, their families all together, it's very different than where we are. But it is so, and he would go to their house and spend time and build relationships. And if you want to see like what DEI is supposed to look like,
right.
What human contact looks like, that's how we do it.
So what is there canoeing?
Oh man, they got canoeing, tubing,
archery. Does
man.
it still exist?
It does, man.
Real camp still exists?
Yeah, man. This is as real a camp as it gets. They do all this stuff. They have the ropes course, all kinds of fun stuff.
I'm reliving my jealousy all over again.
Yeah.
This is no good.
Well, if you'd known about it, you could have gone to this camp.
Like now?
Yeah.
Will like adul's?
No, they can do family camp.
You know, we should start adult camp.
Dude, we should be counselors.
Actually,
we would be great.
There's an idea here, and not the way that you guys are thinking, not like naked or whatever, not that.
They were.
Genuine, honest to goodness adult camp.
With camp counselors, Matt and Cameron. That'll be great.
Right. And, they'll have scheduled fun activities. I actually interviewed, real quick, a guy in Shelby County. You might remember this guy who was a nudist. He was the head zookeeper at the Birmingham Zoo for years, but he also was a nudist. And he started a camp in Shelby County, a summer camp in Shelby County for adults for nudism. And the rules were that he kept kids out because he did not want the authorities.
Yeah, that's a good call.
It's probably a good call. But there were no single people allowed to sign up for camp.
Interesting.
Because he said, this is not about sex.
It's about being naked.
It's about openness and being with nature. And I interviewed him on the air years ago, and he actually, it's one of the most awkward questions I've ever been asked before an interview. He said, do you expect me to show up naked? But he asked it in a way it was like,
maybe.
Because that's cool if you want me to. And I'm like, no, I'm good with that.
I love being one with nature.
Yeah.
There are places I don't want chiggers.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, I mean, but they had volleyball, and they had canoeing. They had I asked them all these questions. Archery. It was like adult summer camp for people that didn't like to wear clothes.
Nude archery.
Okay. My word is a very personal one for me right now, and that word is bisection.
Hmm.
And not Like right before we came on air, every once in a while, Cameron's like, "What's your word?" And I'm like, "What's your word?" And we kind of tease ourselves. And I told him my word, and he said, "Bisexual." No,
I just wanted to know. I figured we were going to have a very interesting conversation.
no. That word's for next week. No, bisection, which means to divide something into parts. So my arm is about to be bisected.
Yeesh.
I know. And I had my final pre-op visit with my surgeon. For those who don't know, I'm having shoulder replacement surgery on my left shoulder. And I've been running around gleefully telling people that they're going to cut my arm off. And I'll be, they're going to cut my arm off. People are like, no, they're not. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, in a very technical way, they are. And so I demanded that my surgeon answer this question. I said, are you or are you not cutting my arm off by definition? And he said, no. He said, there's muscle and there's tissue and there's ligaments and there's all sorts of things that will still be attached. He said, basically everything will still be attached except the bone. I was like, And I said, so you're bisecting my arm? And he said, yes. So hence my word today is bisection. So they're cutting the arm off. He said, but very briefly, and we're going to put it back together.
Well, I think that, one, I wish you the best in your surgery. And as somebody who's had his shoulders rebuilt twice, yours is far more intense than what I went through.
I don't know about all that.
The recovery on that is rough because I don't know if you know this, but your arm moves in all kinds of crazy ways, and getting that range of motion back is, oh man,
here's a couple of interesting discussions that I had with the surgeon. He made it he said, look, yeah, it's a process, and you just have to take it at the stage that you're at. And he said, it's 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks is healing. The second 6 weeks is movement. And the third 6 weeks is strength. And then you are expected to further that level of strength recovery on your own beyond that. And he said, in the first 6 weeks of healing, for the first 2 weeks, I don't want you to do anything.
Right.
Right. Just exist. Don't hurt your arm. Don't move your arm. Just
right.
Don't do anything from the time that I operated on it until you see me again. The fear comes in, I don't want to screw anything up.
Right.
I don't want to make anything worse. Parts have been, screwed around with. So
bisected, in fact.
Yeah, parts have been bisected. But the anticipation is high because I got titanium coming, baby. I got plastics coming. I asked him how long my plastics were expected to last. He said probably for the rest of my life, but we don't really know because we're using different plastics now. We had some great discussion about, what the expectation. I told him that my expectation was that I was going to be able to lift 1,000 pounds. He tried to pull me back from that, said we're not making you the bionic man.
That's unfortunate.
I thought that was too. I thought, well, just give me those high hopes, prior to surgery. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to sign up. Like the moment that they're like, we have this new, body frame. If you want to switch over to this robot body, we can do that now. I'm signing up. I'm there.
Right. Well, but in all seriousness, we have, to kind of, pull this out to 50,000 feet where everybody can kind of identify with it. Most people nowadays, I know somebody that had shoulder surgery in both shoulders, right? You.
Yeah.
Right? You are about to know someone that had his shoulder replaced at the age of 51, which is relatively young, which is part of the reason why there's a lot more knees and hips that are replaced with people in their 40s than shoulders with people in their 40s. Typically, there's been some level of trauma, which is why you require shoulder replacement. And there was for me, too. It was just a longer curve. But most everyone knows someone that has had a hip replaced or a knee replaced or a shoulder replaced or some body part worked on in some form or fashion to make it better and to give you a better quality of life. And, I know we crap all over the medical industry, and they deserve a lot of it. We crap all over the pharmaceutical industry, but we live in amazing, amazing times.
Yeah.
That they can bisect my arm, they can cut off the ball of my shoulder, replace it with a titanium cap, put plastic on the other side, pop that bad boy together, and 3 months later, the expectation is I'm going to be working that and making it better and getting stronger on a daily basis, and hopefully, fingers crossed, live the rest of my life pain-free, and better off as a result. And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I'm putting me squarely in the corner of better living through science.
Amen.
I love the innovation and technology of the private sector. I want to support it. I want my dollars to go to those innovations. My big deal with all of this has been I don't want the government in doing it. I don't want the government doing, using general taxpayer dollars for this. If you're going to charge me and my insurer a lot, great. I want to do that to support the next greatest thing. But I don't want the government deciding, hey, here's what you can have, here's what you can't have, and kind of getting in the way. That means that we're going to pay more for some things. I'm a free market guy, and the free market's why you're going to get a new shoulder.
It's up in the air whether or not they're going to let me keep the cap on my shoulder. He said 90% no.
I don't understand that one. It's your bone.
That's what I thought.
You got to give it to me.
They said something about it not being sterile or something. I don't know.
Well, of course not, but neither are the things we eat. So,
whatever. So I'm a little bummed about that, but we'll give you an update as the time comes as to whether or not I got to keep my shoulder, because I kind of want to keep it as like a paperweight on my desk.
You could do that. The boys collect a lot of bones from dead animals, and they're in my garage. So if you have your bone in your garage, okay, that's cool.
That'd be nice. Well, that's how we do it. That's all the best words. He's Cameron Smith.
He's Matt Murphy.
And we'll see you next time.